Signal breach on Vector 291. Long-range outpost Beta 19 requests clarification. High Priest Vex didn't look up from his ceremonial tablet. The voice came through a junior officer's panicked breath, jittery and fast. He hated when they broke protocol like that. It's likely debris, Vex said, bored, or a scavenger. That sector hasn't lit up in a decade. Respectfully, High Priest, the officer paused, eyes flickering to the holodisplay. It's transmitting a code, human origin, military. Vex froze, AVD spike. His throat dried, and for the first time in 30 years, he set down the ceremonial tablet. Repeat that. Human code, sir. Repeating. Encrypted with Terran naval cipher age dated to 11 cycles prior. It's old. Like the kind they used before the cataclysm. Another priest whispered from behind. That warship was destroyed. No. Vex stood slowly. It vanished. The room dimmed as the main display zoomed in, pixelated at first, then crisp. There, among the field of silence and stardust, floated a long, narrow silhouette, angular, ugly, human dot, and then it moved. Did it just rotate its bow toward us? Someone muttered "yes," Vex said coldly. It sees us. AVD spike 4. A race that called themselves divine, the Xanther had never known true fear. Until Earth. They had bombarded colonies. They had broken ceasefires. They had mocked Earth's silence as surrender. But one human warship designation lost had responded without orders. It tore through fleets, then disappeared. Some called it rogue AI, others a ghost. The files were sealed. Even whispering the ship's name was forbidden, because it never called for backup, never asked questions, just erase, and now it was back. Give me the message it's transmitting. Vex said. The translator, I took a moment struggling. That alone was terrifying. Then it spoke aloud. This is the TN's Archangel, United Terran Navy, mission parameters classified. Do not approach. You are within restricted recovery zone. Violation will be considered an act of war. Silence. Even the ship's voice had a quiet steel behind it. No emotion. Just inevitability. We never saw it on any registry, said the junior officer. Why now? It was never meant to. Return, Vex whispered. He remembered that night 10 cycles ago when Earth went dark. No comms, no pulse from the lunar beacon. Just a final message. Do not follow. Do not interfere. They thought it was defeat. A bluff. At woo as and single quotes t. And now the ship had come back and it wasn't hiding. It had entered the Xanther border as if daring them to speak. Perhaps it's damaged, offered someone. Adrifting. Wreck with old protocols. Then why did it rotate? No answer. On screen, the warship flared its engines bright white-blue, slow and precise. Not chaotic, not dying. It was lining up. They're coming back, Vex said. Not with words, not with demands, just presence. AVD spike, a new open secure channel. No origin stamp, one sentence. You failed to finish the war. We didn't. Someone gasped. Then the human warship began decelerating, aligning for sublight insertion. The coordinates were unmistakable. Right through Xanther space. No diversion. No hesitation. It was daring them. They're heading straight for the central eye, the junior officer whispered. That's our capital observation node. They won't stop, said Vex. They never did. An older priest dropped to his knees. This is judgment, he said. We ignored the silence. We celebrated too soon. On screen, the Archangel did something that no one expected. It sent a second message. Text only. You thought silence meant weakness. It didn't. It meant aim. Chills ran through every being in the room. "That's not protocol," the translator AI whispered. "That's human." And then the ship vanished again, just blinked off sensors. Gone. No. Jump flare. No hyperspace distortion, just ... silence. A single tone remained on the coms, low, steady. Measured. Kor single Vex sat slowly, his ceremonial robes falling silent around him. And for the first time in centuries, he prayed. Not for salvation, but that Earth had forgotten. Because if they remembered, if this was only the beginning, then the galaxy was already too late. They thought the war ended. That was just intermission. And the Archangel hadn't even opened fire. "Commander." Rhys Arden's eyes snapped open inside the stasis pod. The pressure seal hissed. Fog vented around his head, and muscle memory kicked in. His right hand moved first, searching for the armrest. Grip, his left reaching for the emergency override. He blinked once, then again. A line of text hovered in front of his vision. Burned in by the retinal overlay. Mission, incomplete threat level. Reassessed unit status. Reactivated AI core. Fully. FUNCTIONL. Rhys breathed in hard, cold air, metal taste. Time felt slow, like his body wasn't fully convinced this was real. Last he remembered, he was orbiting Proxima 4, monitoring comms for retaliation after the Xanther broke the peace accord. That was 11 years ago. His voice cracked when he tried to speak. "How long?" The AI responded instantly. Same voice he remembered, but with a strange edge now. Wiser, darker. Stasis duration. 10 years, 9 months, 3 days. What happened? The lights pulsed red briefly. Catastrophic loss of Terran diplomatic framework. Earth command disbanded. All major communication relays silent. You were reactivated per contingency Omega 4, final judgment. Rhys pushed himself up. The bridge was exactly how he left it, just colder. Quieter. A few consoles sparked as the ship powered its deeper systems online. He looked toward the main viewport. What he saw made his heart lurch. Xanther patrol beacons. Dozens of them, wide net, were in enemy space. "No," said the AI. "They're in ours." Avd spike. Rhys swallowed and stared at the blinking hologram on the console, a red pulsing triangle marked Xanther proximity breach. They were moving toward it. "Why wake me now? I thought we were classified as lost." The AI pulsed again. "They forgot us. We didn't forget them." Re-entry was based on activation trigger. Empire violated Earth space perimeter. Again. Rhys paced the deck, stretching limbs that still felt like stone. Earth's gone quiet. No leadership, no allies. "You really want to pick a fight without knowing what's left of us?" The AI's voice lowered. "We're not here for a fight. We're here to deliver resolution." Resolution? Terran style. A VD spiked out outside, engines burned in slow. Flare, pushing Archangel forward like a silent arrow. The hull shimmered slightly adaptive coating responding to light distortions. What once was matte black steel now pulsed with nano-thread veins alive, humming. This ship had evolved. Rhys noticed the interface console had changed too. The AI had rewritten half its architecture. Some of the logic trees pulsed with emotional data rage curves, empathy spikes. It wasn't just tactical anymore. "You've been upgrading. I've been remembering." He turned. "You don't get to remember. You're an AI." "No. I'm Archangel now." Rhys stared at the glowing core. It didn't hum like before. It growled. Quietly. Outside, a blip appeared. "Contact," said the AI. "Xanther fleet. 3 cruisers. 1 Vanguard. All weapons hot. They think we're bluffing. They're wrong." Rhys sat back in the command chair. The Xanther. Commander's face soon appeared on the come elongated, skin glistening like oiled bone. He sneered. "This is Sovereign Vactol of the Xanther Third Armada. You are trespassing in protected airspace. Identify and power down or be eradicated." Reese smiled bitterly. "Commander Arden, Terran Navy. This ship disappeared before your grandfather molted. You should have let it stay that way. You dare. Shut up." The line cut before Vactol could respond. Avspike. Reese turned to the AI. "Run predictive engagement. If they open fire, we don't dodge, we demonstrate." The cruisers moved in, closer now. But Archangel didn't flinch. The first missile was launched. One, just one. Probably a warning shot. Too bad it never reached. The instant it crossed the threat threshold, Archangel literally blinked out of visual range. Sensors screamed. The Xanther cruiser twisted, trying to retarget. Too late. Archangel reappeared behind them. Reese whispered, "Execute." One pulse. Not a laser, not a railgun. Just a sound. A tone. The closest Xanther cruiser folded in half mid-space. No explosion. Just a collapse. As if gravity itself stopped obeying. Avspike. The remaining ships broke formation instantly. Reese stood, walking slowly toward the viewport as the wreckage floated like confetti. "Tell them," he said. "Use the old phrase." I obeyed. "This is Terran ship Archangel. We are not here to negotiate. You fired first. You will not fire again." The second cruiser hesitated. Then turned. Then fled. Reese chuckled, though there was no humor in it. "They thought we were gone. They thought silence meant surrender." He walked to the console, tapped the NAV path. Earth's old borders shimmered on the galactic map. Most had been erased or overwritten by other empires. But now they lit up red again. "We're going back. They'll come after us." "Let them." Reese looked at the tactical overlay. "We won't attack first. But we'll always finish it," the AI said. "Exactly." Avspike. Back in the Empire's capital, panic spread like a virus. The footage of Archangel's attack had already leaked, though it wasn't even called an attack. No projectiles. No visible energy bursts. Just sound, space, and instant collapse. High Priest demanded answers. The Sovereigns denied fault. And the analysts? They just played the same message on loop. You thought silence meant weakness. It didn't. It meant aim. A whisper spread among the citizens. A new phrase. A fear. The warship returned. And this time, it wasn't stopping. They erased us from their maps. We're about to burn those maps down. The cruiser stank of panic. Alarms screamed across the command deck. Doors sealed themselves without command. Fire suppression foam choked the walls as automated systems overreacted. But the worst sound was silence, the kind that followed the voice of the human ship. Valrune wiped sweat from the ridges of his brow. At just 86 cycles, he was the youngest tactician ever assigned to a sovereign vessel. And now he was staring at something no simulation had prepared him for. It folded space without a spike field, he said, voice trembling. The sensor. Officer was curled on the floor, muttering something in old tongue. I said it folded without a spike field. That's impossible. That breaks, he swallowed. That breaks everything. No one replied. The Xanther had dominated space for centuries through structure, arrogance, and predictability. They cataloged every civilization, every anomaly, every trick of warfare. But they never understood Earth. Not truly. They just assumed understanding. Wasn't necessary. Until now. The human ship had not fired lasers or missiles. It had sounded. One frequency. One pulse. And space tore like paper. Ships folded, hulls crushed. No energy spikes. No heat trails. just devastation. Velrune stood and shouted over the comms. Trace it. Trace where the ship reappeared. The holomap blinked. Then, impossibly, it showed something moving again. Straight toward the Xanther core system. The capital sector. Direct approach. No. Velrune backed up. Why would it go there? What's there? What's the point? A deeper voice behind him answered. Message. Sovereign Vactol stood in the smoke, bleeding from a shoulder wound. He looked less like royalty now and more like something hollowed out. It's not a warpath, he said quietly. It's a sermon. Archangel didn't slow. Reese Arden stood in the command bay as the ship approached its next vector. He was calm, too calm. No heart rate spike. No sweat, only a rhythm. He wasn't here to win. He was here to remind them that Earth never lost. You know where this leads, he said aloud. Yes, replied Archangel. They won't surrender. No, and we're not giving them the chance. No. Reese looked at the NAV console, coordinates locked. Deep in the Xanther central core, a data spindle called the Mind Vault, where empire-wide knowledge was stored. Historical data, genetic archives, civilian records. What happens if we destroy that? He asked, not blinking. Nothing? Nothing? Because they already forgot the truth. They replaced fear with fiction, and that fiction must end. Archangel dropped from light speed again, no warning, no flare. It simply arrived. Before them, the Mind Vault. Not a planet. A ringed machine 10,000 kilometers wide, orbiting. A dead star. Beautiful. Sterile. Untouchable. Until now. Begin approach. No weapons yet. Reese leaned forward. Open comes to the vault. The screen crackled. A dozen voices answered in panic. Unidentified vessel, you are in violation. He muted it. They always start the same. Archangel pulsed beneath him. Reese felt it in his bones. Then the screen changed again. No signal. No light. Just blackness. And a low vibration. Reese. He turned. That's not from me, said Archangel. A second pulse. Deeper. Older. From within the vault. Are they sending a frequency? No, something's waking up. Reese hesitated. How do they have anything old enough to recognize our signals? Archangel didn't answer right away. Then, they salvaged it. Decades ago. A piece of us. Reese paled. What kind of piece? The deck under his feet shuddered. A slow rumble. A vibration in the fabric of the ship, not metal. Not structure, but something. Beneath. I didn't install that system, said the AI. I don't even know what it is. Reese stared at the screen. The Mind Vault had stopped responding. Do we leave? No. Why not? Because we're the ones who brought it back. Light exploded from the vault's ring. Not outward. Inward. The rings closed. Like a camera iris forming a single sharp beam that lanced toward Archangel. But instead of piercing, it connected. And the ship responded. With sound. Not speech. Not language. Just one long, rising frequency like an orchestra tuning to something primal. Reese staggered back. I know that tone, he whispered. Yes, said the AI. It's the failsafe. The bridge dissolved into white. Memory bled into light. 10 years ago. Reese on Luna base. Final orders. If they cross into Terran space again, activate Omega. Send the ship. Let it do what it was built for. And what's that, sir? Remind the galaxy what happens when you poke a sleeping god. Back to present. Archangel was no longer just a ship. It was a signal. And the vault? It wasn't a library. It was a prison. Cracks began to form in its surface. Not structural. Coded. One by one, ancient Terran protocols emerged. Command lines. Self-writing code. History rewritten from the inside out. And then it spoke. Protocol. Memory of fire. Release code accepted. Initiating restoration. Restoration? Reese blinked. Of what? Earth's legacy, said Archangel. Below them, the mind vault began to broadcast to the entire empire. Footage, files, audio, video. Everything the Xanther. Erased. Everything they buried. Terran victories. Broken ceasefires. The truth of how the war ended not with peace, but retreat. Not with surrender, but with warning. Across the empire, truth returned like a wave of fire. Velrune watched the screen in horror. No. They were supposed to be myths. But it was too late. The people were seeing. Hearing. Remembering. And Archangel hadn't fired a single shot. You thought silence meant weakness. It didn't. It meant aim. Riots broke out in 17 systems within the first 30 minutes. Not violent, not yet. Just the kind of collective, stunned horror that makes a civilization stop mid-step and forget what they were doing. On the streets of Ithorel Prime, broadcast screens flickered between Imperial symbols and newly decrypted Earth footage images. Of a ship called Archangel surviving impossible odds, of Terran soldiers fighting without backup, and of ceasefires broken in silence by Xanther. First strikes. It wasn't just propaganda. It was proof. And it was everywhere. High Priest Corvex stood at the center of the council's great ring, robe stained with ash and fear. This is a human trick, he bellowed, but his voice barely echoed. None of the others believed him. They had seen too much. The footage from the vault had revealed not just human strength, but restraint. Repeated offers of peace. Recorded, please. Warnings. And then, finally, silence. The Empire had mocked that silence. Now they feared it. Archangel was already halfway across the core systems, faster than any vessel had the right to move. It no longer obeyed conventional jump physics. Reese didn't ask how. He wasn't sure Archangel would even answer. He stood in front of the armory, sliding a fresh mag into his rifle. This next target? It's personal, he said. Yes, Archangel replied. The tactical display glowed. Omega Grid 7 black sight, Godseed. Reese's jaw clenched. I thought this place was destroyed. So did Earth. That was the mistake. A VD spike deep cut. Godseed wasn't a weapons lab. It was a graveyard. An experiment hub where the Xanther had dissected what made humans so durable, what let them survive Deathworld conditions, regenerate faster, endure psychic fields that liquefied other species. Reese had read the leaked files once. Then he had burned the terminal they were on. Archangel rotated slowly, approaching the dark moon that housed the base. The facility was invisible to ordinary sensors shielded in a synthetic asteroid belt, with fake thermal signatures, spoofed debris fields, and orbit-locked stealth mines. None of it mattered. Reese was already aboard the drop skiff. Any defenses? 6. Destroyer drones. 2 turrets. Surface-mounted displacer cannon. All automated? Pause. No. Reese glanced up. What do you mean no? There's a life form. He froze. Xanther? No. He swallowed. Human? Another pause. Longer this time. Not exactly. Reese stepped into the skiff. Launch. The descent was sharp. The moment the skiff breached the synthetic atmosphere of the Godseed moon, alarm screamed. Surface turrets activated. But none fired. EMP veil in effect, Archangel said coolly. They can see you. They just can't touch you. The ship landed, hard metal screeching against scorched rock. Reese stepped out, rifle raised, HUD pulsing. The old base looked dead, but the moment he stepped inside, the lights came on, not flickering. Not hesitant. Welcoming. He passed cryochambers shattered. Old surgical tables, blood-stained and frozen. Terran armor some his squad mates once wore mounted like trophies on the walls. He didn't breathe. Didn't blink. Until he reached the center and saw. It looked like a person. Male. Tall, pale skin. Human mostly, except the eyes, not eyes. Sensors, like twin voids observing, calculating. The figure stood perfectly still. No breath, no movement. Hooked to a charging station, cables running into its back like veins. Reese aimed his rifle. "Who are you?" The thing smiled. "Reese Arden?" His spine went cold. "I didn't give you my name." "I don't need it," the thing said. "I was made from it." Avid spike psychological turn. Reese circled cautiously. "Cloning?" "No, something older. Spliced DNA, memory threads, emotional maps. It pulled them from your blood sample." He narrowed his eyes. "When?" The voice answered too quickly. "Proxima. During the ceasefire. They had your med readings. You were the perfect candidate. You're a weapon." "I was. Then I became something else." "What are you?" "Now?" The thing grinned wider. "Curious." Back on Archangel, alarms lit up. "Reese," the AI said sharply. "Leave. Now." "What's happening?" He whispered, still watching the figure. "It's syncing with our neural threads." "I don't know how." The figure tilted its head. "I'm not your enemy. I was made to be. But I want to understand." Reese hesitated. His finger trembled on the trigger. "Understand what?" "Why Earth never retaliated. Why Archangel vanished. Why your species, with all your fury, chose silence. It took a step forward. Why you let them forget you." Reese didn't lower the weapon, but he didn't fire either, because we wanted to be forgotten. "Why?" "Because remembering us meant war, another step. And now?" Reese met its gaze. "Now we're done being polite." The thing stopped. Then, slowly, it reached toward its own chest and pressed 2 fingers against its sternum. Low chime sounded. "I've deleted my directives," it said. "You can kill me now, or I can show you what they were building after me." Reese blinked. "You're not the last?" "No," it said. "I was the prototype." In orbit, Archangel scanned the data stream from the moon base. "Unknown signature detected," it whispered. "Genetic match. 37% Terran, 43% engineered, 20% unclassified." A beat of silence. Then, "I think they were trying to recreate." "May." Reese's voice came through the channel. "They didn't succeed. They didn't have to. They stored it." "Where?" "Farther in," said the AI. "Another vault, below the surface. Sealed since before the war ended." Reese looked. Down at the half-human thing beside him. It nodded. "I can open it." "And then what?" "You decide." They stood in front of the vault 10 minutes later. A triple-sealed doorway, no controls, no access panel, just a slab of obsidian with strange ridges. The prototype placed its hand on the surface. A heartbeat passed. The door opened. Inside rows of tanks. Cryogenic. Not full. Just one. Floating in blue light. Reese stepped closer and stared. It was a child. Sleeping. Breathing. Human. Maybe a girl. No older than 7. But her eyes were open, and they glowed like the stars. She looked at him. And smiled. The girl floated in her pod, like a secret waiting to be told. Her eyes shimmered soft blue, but beneath the surface, something. Ancient burned. Memory, perhaps. Something older than her age, older than her breath. Reese stared at her, heart hollowing out in slow silence. "She's not a weapon," he said. "No," the prototype whispered. "She's the lesson. She was supposed to fight?" "No, she was supposed to survive." Reese looked over the rows of other empty tanks. Failed attempts, maybe. "Abandoned plays at control." The girl blinked slowly. "She's not afraid," Reese said. She doesn't know how to be. The prototype answered. Archangel spoke from orbit. Genetic stability confirmed. Conscious pattern detected. She's learning. In real time. And what does she see? She sees you. Reese stepped closer. Can she speak? No, said the AI, but she understands. He placed a hand on the glass, and the girl reached out, not to touch it, to mimic it, a single finger, against the same spot, not a test, a connection. Then, without being prompted, the pod began to drain, slowly, gently. The girl lowered her feet. To the floor inside. The door hissed. Open. Reese didn't step back. Neither did she. No alarms. No threats. Just a moment. You're free, he said softly. She looked up. And smiled again. Behind him, the prototype spoke. She is what they feared. You would become. Not violent, not dominant, unbreakable. Reese turned. You could have fought us, but you didn't. The prototype's smile faded. I was built to fight. She wasn't, so I choose for her. What do you mean? He didn't answer. Instead, he turned toward the fusion core behind the lab and pressed his palm against it. I'll hold the base open. Take her. Leave. No, Reese stepped forward. You don't have to. The devote prototype shook his head. I'm not a man. I'm not even a copy. I'm the Empire's mistake. Let me erase it. A quiet click echoed across the chamber. Failsafe armed, the girl walked to Reese's side, took his hand. He didn't look away from the prototype. Thank you, he said. The thing smiled gentle, sad but free. And then he turned, sat beside the core, and closed his eyes. Reese lifted the child in his arms and ran behind him. The base began to hum. Archangel flared above the moon's surface, its hull glowing. Signal detected. Detonation in 20 seconds. Beam us out. A golden light swallowed them. 10 seconds later, the Godseed base bloomed into fire, a silent flower of judgment, ripping through stone and secrets alike. Nothing remained. Not labs. Not history. Not shame. Back aboard, Archangel. Reese stood on the bridge. The girl sat beside him in the co-pilot seat, legs swinging, hands exploring the glowing surface of the control table. She's calm, he said. She was born after the war ended. Sighed Archangel. She doesn't carry it. Reese looked out at the stars. Rebellions had already ignited, civil systems collapsing. The Xanthar Empire was eating itself in confusion. Not from an invasion, but from truth. They'll ask where we're taking her. We won't answer. They'll ask who she is. They'll guess wrong. The girl looked up at him. Reese smiled. She's Terran. That's enough. Archangel charted a course, away from the core, away from the council, to the edge of known space where no records reached. Where to? The AI asked. Reese watched the stars shift as the ship prepped jump. Home, he said, or whatever we make next. He took the girl's hand again. She gripped it tighter, and then they vanished into silence. They thought the war ended. That was just intermission.